Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're taking a look at another Earthrise toy, and probably one of them that has sparked the most controversy amongst fans. We're taking a look at the Earthrise version of Megatron. And of course, like we always do on this channel, we're also going to compare him side by side with his Generation 1 version right next to him. As you can see there, the new one is just slightly taller than the original, but of course this one does have a different alternate mode, as it's more difficult in the United States to get a toy gun made due to all the laws against them. And of course, the biggest problem that comes with the Earthrise Megatron is how much similar it is to its Siege counterpart. And of course, we will take a look at that a little later on in the video here. As you can clearly tell, the design on the Earthrise Megatron is more inspired towards the cartoon appearance than the toy appearance of the original, which in many ways does work out a little bit better, especially when you see how skinny and scrawny the original toy looked. So it's kind of amazing that he stands on those scrawny little legs. But then again, I can tell you, the age of this Megatron toy, he doesn't always stand very well. The catches on those legs don't always work on holding him upright. Anyway, let's get him out of the way here. Anyway, so we can put a little more focus on the new Megatron. We'll take a look briefly here at his articulation real fast, and then we'll start showing off some of the other things. Megatron's head can turn left and right, and it also can look up and down. This is a slight improvement over the Siege version, as you could barely get the head to look up and down. His arms can raise up at the shoulder, about so far. And of course, the shoulder is fully rotatable. Right there. You can bend his arm at the elbow about 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep. So he does have G.I. Joe battle grip. Megatron can be twisted at his hip. The legs can be spread apart into a full splits. His legs can also be twisted at the thigh. You can also raise his leg at the hip about 90 degrees and bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. So Megatron does have quite a range of motion on him. And we're going to take a look at his accessories briefly. We're going to start with the turret and sword combo. This, of course, will form the main gun of the tank mode. And at the one end, it does have a blade on it. It'd be nice if this could have been used as a bladed staff, but since Megatron has closed fists, it's reliant on you mounting him with it in this post. And basically, if we try to put it in his hand, it almost comes off as a spear more than anything. That's why the instructions more have you attach it to the side of his arm. But unfortunately, it looks too silly to be like that. But then again, you could have it facing the opposite way, and he's got a second gun. Even though it is a little obscene looking. However, later this year, we're going to get a G2-inspired Megatron. That's going to be this one. And they're going to have you attach the gun back here on the tank treads on his back to represent the shoulder cannon that toy had. And this it looks kind of silly. I mean, he still stands, but it just looks pretty dumb attached back there. Also, word of note is that this black portion here, this guard, is removable. It is a very thin piece of plastic, and in some cases this can work loose pretty easily. I can't begin to tell you the amount of times that this thing has fallen off on me. I mean, at the time I recorded this, I've had Megatron for about 2 weeks. It'll be a little longer depending on how soon I post this video, but I've had him for a couple of weeks, and almost every opportunity I've handled him, he drops this thing. So, toss it aside here. And then, of course, next, probably the most well-known accessory for Megatron, is his fusion cannon. Now, of course, this is not the same fusion cannon from the Siege version. And we'll show that off to y'all right now. Let's bring the Siege guy up here real quick. We don't need his big sword. We'll get that out of the way. Let's remove the Siege fusion cannon. Just the light here so that we can show off some more of the detail. This is the Siege one. This is the Siege one, and you can see here on the right-hand side of it, there's a lot of technical detail on here, whereas on that same side of the Earthrise version, there's noticeably less. So, that's something to bear in mind. The Earthrise one does bear more resemblance to the Generation 1 version. We'll separate it here and see, here's the Generation 1 version. That's the wrong one. And right above it here is the Earthrise version. And it clearly takes some inspirational cues from it. Like the fact the back end is a little bit bigger in size. The midsection does sort of harken to the design on this one. Kind of more on this side, since it has the little knob in it. And of course we got some vents of sorts here on the end, and those are probably an homage to the stripes on the original. And of course the biggest thing to tell is that the Siege fusion cannon is shorter than the Earthrise fusion cannon. You can see I've got them lined up post to post, so the ends of the barrels are about at the same area, but as you can see, the Earthrise one here at the bottom is substantially longer than the Siege one, so do bear that in mind if you happen to buy one of these toys loose. Alright, now as I said earlier, there is a point of contention that fans have that the toys are similar. Well, as you can see, both of them here standing side by side, there are significant differences between the two toys. However, there are a fair amount of similarities between the toys, as some of the parts were definitely shared between these two toys. The upper legs are the same, as are the feet. The Transformer Wikia suggests that the legs are the same, but as I bring it closer to you, you can see that the legs are substantially different from each other. As the Siege one has more pronounced kneecaps as opposed to the Earthrise one. So, and of course, when we turn him to the side here, and you can look at the side pattern of the legs are, in fact, totally different. They operate the same when it comes to transforming Megatron, but they are different. The forearms here on both of them are exactly the same, as are the front covers to the shoulders, because if I turn him here to the side, you can see how the upper portion of the shoulder is molded exactly the same, but the lower portion is not the same. And of course, there is also differences in the head sculpt. If I have him turn his head to the side here, and we'll bring them both up close here. I don't know how well it's going to come off on the camera, but we'll try to point out, like on the Siege version, there's a more pronounced groove here along the back of the head, whereas it's more filled in here on the Earthrise version. And then just the head a little bit so that we can try to show this. The Siege version, the face is more sunk in beneath the nose, whereas on the Earthrise it appears to be more outward than how it is on the Siege toy. So, while there is a fair amount of similarities between the two toys, there are just as many differences among them. Okay, now we're going to transform Earthrise Megatron. Of course, first thing we got to do is we got to straighten his arms out, and we're going to fold his fists inward, just like that. We rotate the fusion cannon, so it's like that. And then, of course, we're going to turn him around, and we're going to raise up the back portion, like so. We straighten his arms out, and then we're going to fold them over and connect them together via the fusion cannon. Just exactly like that. And we come up here to the upper section. We're going to fold out the tank treads. And then we worm the sections around so that it goes back in and under. And it should snap into place. We may have to extend the treads out a little bit to ensure that it gets into its proper place. And then you snap the tank treads in to these posts here on the edge on the front of the tank. There we go. They're snapping in. They're also snapping out. There we go. That's better. That's perfect. That's just perfect. They should all snap in not only up here at the top, but right in here at his shoulders. So you can kind of see him hiding under here. Hello, Megatron. Then next, we're going to reach down here and we're going to twist his legs at the hip all the way around, like so. Then we have Megatron do a splits. And then, of course, we bend the leg like so. We also got to fold out these covers here at the side so that the leg can completely bend like that. Then we rotate the leg so that it folds up underneath and into the tread. And then we'll fold up the cover on the side. As well. So that way they're a bit more connected. Then next comes the real fun part of getting the tank body to connect together to the tank treads. Because unlike on the Siege version, it's not independently treaded. We may have missed doing something here. Or we ain't got the legs in enough or something. Something ain't right here. Let me check this. Okay, the problem was with the way I had him transformed. The tank treads on the front, the lower portion of those treads should come down to about the grill section here on Megatron's chest. So make sure they're down that far. And then once you've gotten the legs folded up, they should reach up and attach just exactly like that. So we'll get these legs to attach just like that, and you gotta shift this one just a little bit more so that clears enough that the piece can fold under. And now we'll go back here to his feet. We fold the black portions inside the gray and then fold them backwards like so. And then of course now here at the back we take the tank guard, the guard from the cannon, and it is supposed to attach inside here between his legs. There's some holes in his legs that this just pops into. Just exactly like that. And then of course we insert the turret gun onto the end of the fusion cannon. Oops. But of course for starters you make sure that the post is folded up all the way so it doesn't interfere. And then there we have it. Megatron is in a Earth-stylized tank mode. Of course, he's got fake treads, so he rides around on a set of 4 gray wheels. Of course, this leg may not be rotated far enough. But at any rate, how well does he roll? Doesn't roll too bad. And of course, the turret is almost fully rotatable. The portion right back here at the back with the tank guard kind of gets in the way. Nope, wait a minute, it does go. It does go all the way around, just like the Siege version. Then, of course, there is an homage to his Japanese version. He's got a unit number of D16 here. That was the number for Megatron in the Japanese series. D, of course, was for Destron, which was what the Decepticons were called in Japan, and he was the 16th toy in that line. Now, of course, for comparison's sake, just so that anybody can say that it is a different one, right here is the Siege version. So you can see it is a different tank. But, of course, for those of us who are Generation 1 fans, nothing will replace the handgun, complete with all the accessories. A relic of a bygone era. Now, of course, what do I think of the Earthrise Megatron? I will agree with many of you that it does come across as a bit unimaginative, especially when compared next to the Siege toy. But I'm not sure if there's been any other reviewers that have done as comprehensive of a comparison between the two toys, but you at least got mine, so you know somebody did. But beyond that, yes, I will agree this Megatron is rather unimaginative, especially when compared to the previous one. It does seem like only a slight change, because even the transformation method is relatively the same throughout most of the toy. So if you can transform the one, you can certainly transform the other. It's just on the Siege one, the treads don't unite. So it does have that going for it. The robot mode, it's not too bad. It looks a little better than the Siege one, in my opinion at least. Except for the cannon that forms the front of the tank. I really don't like that as a separate accessory like it is. Trying to pass it off as a bladed weapon is something of a joke as well, because it just looks dumb for the way that it is, but I'm guessing some people will like it. A lot of people probably won't. I don't think it's going to look that good as the G2 version that Hasbro Pulse is selling, but that's just my opinion. And we'll see how others feel about it when it comes out. Unfortunately for me, it's already sold out on Hasbro Pulse, so I'm probably going to have to go to other routes to acquire one. If the price is right, I'll consider it. At any rate, that concludes my review of the Earthrise version of Megatron. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you like this video, please drop me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you can join our ranks. And don't forget to ring the bell, because with this being an Earthrise month, videos could go up at any time. Also, please share this video with your friends and fellow Transformer collectors. That's what helps this channel grow. And also share your thoughts about the Earthrise Megatron in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.